All right. Back at it in that. You're right. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back. Been counting down the days. So have I, my son. More about that to come. Meow. Hello. Sephiroth. Rising has been eating out of the bin. Good to see the New Year's resolutions have started early. However, for me, they're on hold, frankly, till February. Because I basically just lost a month of my life, all this Christmas lark, because retail. It's a good job I finished Yōtei when I did, because I just had to stop living. And it just worked. So January, for me, it's all about relaxing and getting drunk. I brought an old friend back to the stream, as per the request of Dammit Chris. Pink Gin is back in town. And it tastes just as good as it ever did. Yeah, so I couldn't get a stream out before the end of the year because of work. I just did not have a day other than Christmas Day and New Year off. How's the music sounded? I've put together an eclectic playlist combined of all the games I have played this year. It's great. It's just a lot, yeah. Beat Rebirth and you've started Expedition 33. You've got about, Vampire, a week to get that beat, and you can join Team Backseat. Because I'll be... Hey, Ecstatic. How are you? By the way, Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah, so I think Wednesday this week, a couple of days' time, I will be playing, at long last, Terminator 2D No Fate. I decided to bite the bullet, despite its reportedly short length and, you know, middling price range. We're going to do it. Because I said I'll be back. I meant it. And it looks, you know, it looks old, but not obsolete. Huh? What's that? And yeah, so we're going to get that done. And then I think next week, probably start Expedition. See what that's all about. Since then, it's won about 1 trillion awards. Is it worth the hype? I'll be deciding. I was a fool not to start it sooner. Everyone who told me it would become my favorite modern game was right. Oh, damn. Oh, man. I don't know if it can live up to the hype, but I'll see. I'm sorry. I know it's a Monday night and that, but I've got tomorrow off. You might not have, but get drunk anyway if you can. So this stream, yeah, is going to be fairly short, about an hour or so. Unless I get too drunk and rambly. But just if anyone has never joined me for one of these, this will probably be the last one I do, given I'm not going to play that many games this year. This is not a review of games that release in 2025, but games I've played in 2025. So that makes it quite an interesting and unique list, because I would challenge anyone here to find a list online where people are pitting the likes of Donkey Kong Country against Ghost of Yōtei, Astro Bot against Fork Road, or Black Myth Wukong against Thank Goodness You're Here. I think you'll have a hard time. Granted, there are 2 Silent Hills, modern Silent Hills on this. That's probably more easy to find. Yeah, we'll get to those when we come to them. Don't know if anyone watched me re-review of Silent Hill F, but it has changed my thoughts of that game since my initial run. I nearly lost my voice on the last one you did of these. Look, Seth, I know you've got some favorites in here, like what we got. I mean, Tomb Raider, The Angel of Darkness is here, Elden Ring, you know, big favorites of yours. I'm going to try my best not to offend you. I'm also going to try my best not to give any story spoilers. I'm still going by my trusty pros and cons guide, but I've omitted anything that could be story spoilery. I might say the ending or whatever is this or that, but I won't give specific details because I know, yeah, a few folk avoided Yōtei for that very reason. So I'm going to omit that. Watch the YouTube edits if you want a full review. Who the fuck said I like that? He loved it. Watch him put Silent Hill 2 in the rubbish bin. Look, I've not like gone through this and picked out where beforehand where everything is going. I have done that for the platinum list because I don't think that will interest too many people, so that will just be a quick brush over what was my favorite plat, what was the least fave. But for this, I know there is something going in every class, and I think the all-out fun, the top tier, is going to have a lot of competition. thin ice with some of these. Oh, I love it, man. So yeah, it's all just a bit of fun. It's not critical reviews of anything. I'm not qualified to give those. It's just a, you know, a tally of my personal experiences of the games I played last year, and I'll, you know, quickly brush over the 3 that I did off stream. Tony Hawk 3-4, Hollow Knight, Silksong, and Final Fantasy Tactics. I won't ramble on them too much because they weren't streamed games, but I think with the Alan Wake 2 music now playing, we should probably get into where we started, well, last year. Let me get my list up. It's been a long time since I played it. That's why I made this list. So I'm not just trying to remember. Look at me pros and cons list. For pros, I've got it's good looking character models, though often outshone by their real life actor counterparts, and it's a high budget feeling presentation. That's all I can really say good about my experience with Alan Wake. I was promised the world with it. I was promised that playing through Alan Wake 1 and Control, it will all pay off this time, and it just didn't. I found the gameplay utterly boring, the story bonkers confusing. Almost every one of its mechanics outstays its welcome. Too much mud and leaves. Just like Alan Wake 1, there's mud and leaves. Too much of it. I'm so sick of it. And it's pretty buggy experience as well. A lot of audio bugs. Documents not working properly in the mine place. And some weird character positioning issues I encountered. I did abandon the streams, but I did finish it off stream. Even bloody platinumed it. And it wasn't worth it. In summary, so I'm going to try and round all my reviews here to a 2-sentence summary. And what I have to say about Alan Wake is I won't deny Alan Wake 2 all of its mainstream accolades, but personally it was a perfect concoction of things I find boring or don't particularly enjoy, leading to a rather loathsome experience. And thus we start straight in the rubbish bin. Look, man, it's a fucking popular game, right? I'm not saying I've got any say in this, but it's all this is just my experience. It was rubbish, man. I fucking hated it. I didn't hate it, but I thought it was boring as fuck. Yeah, concoction, right? Move the hell out, HeyJayW is here for the best game reviews. All right, Seth's happy with that. We're off to a good start. Okay, Silent Hill 2, the 2024 remake from Bloober Team. My first ever Silent Hill experience hands-on. I'd seen some of the games in the past and I watched other people play them, and I've seen the movies as well, but playing a Silent Hill start to finish, that was my first time. A few notes here. Compelling characters and story with some interpretation allowing for interesting discussions, for sure, man. You know, I'm someone who tends to like a story pretty well laid out. And this wasn't like you had to kind of come to some conclusions and talk, but that was quite interesting. It was good looking, great environmental design.
Do it! Then get on with it!
I'm getting on with it! Perfect mood as well. It wasn't too gruesome or scary. It didn't overdo anything. Had a great soundtrack and great sound design. And I loved the puzzles and stuff. It's one thing I think it really outshines Silent Hill F on. Like, I find that game's puzzles really lacking, but I loved them in SH2. It's like a blast from the past of old REs and shit. Performance a bit choppy, but not game-breaking. Combat a bit clunky, but served the game okay. And the many endings were mired by not much offering in New Game Plus other than a chainsaw and pretty specific requirements needed followed. And the game didn't tell you them like it does in F. The camera behavior was also terrible at times. In summary, a great first foray into the Silent Hill universe for me. While some issues are hard to ignore, overall the end product was well delivered and had me captivated from beginning to end. Minus the several extra runs needed for all the endings. Because I really do feel like it didn't offer enough for its replays. That said, all right, hear me out, Seth. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. For anything in the top tier, all out fun, I'm going to leave it in the box here, so we can reorder them at the end. Because Silent Hill 2 is going in top spot. It's all out fun, man. Loved it. You know, yeah, Meow did not love it. She couldn't even finish it. I actually agree. Ooh. All right, there's a relief. So I think we got a free pass to upset him at some point. All right, so third, we went for a request from Melezra. Thank goodness you're here. Bit of an indie small experience, a fun little romp in a well-done old British parody, great accents and local dialect for the most part, and it provided me a great opportunity to start my linguistics class. However, I found it far too pricey for what it is. A few characters were a bit grating rather than funny. Some of the sound mixing was a bit off, often unsure what to do in such a ludicrous situation. And the navigation was, the one-way loop was a bit annoying. Though that is fairly British. You learn a lot of new words, so that's something good to take from it. But in summary, I found it a quirky and funny little parodical take on Northern England from times gone by. But the goof soon wears off, and I can't recommend it without an 80% price drop. It was, for what it is, so overpriced, man. Especially the fucking physical editions. It's fucking insane. But you know, it was funny enough. I'll be nice, and it's going in the meh category. I don't need a game made about me knocking about. Oh, see, I loved that. That was nice, but yeah, it wasn't a surefire hit. But talking of surefire hits, it's time we get started on the Tomb Raider 4 to 6 remastered trilogy with Tomb Raider 4 or Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. Has anyone played this? Because we had, like, Evil Lady knocking about at the time who said it was her favorite or something like that, and fuck me, man. This game, right, rubbish! I like that the devs tried something different with level structure and some asset and model redesigns. Like, new mechanics were attempted, like the ropes. Fucking rope bits, man. And the shimmy around corners. And some nice additions in the way of side characters like Von Croy and Jean-Yves. But the new level structure feels cumbersome, confusing, overly big, long, frustrating. So much possibility of where to go next or what to do next, and more backtracking than ever before. The rope mechanics were fucking terrible, the shimmy around corners didn't always work, and its soundtrack was almost non-existent. In summary, while I can compliment the attempts to try new things in the hurried development cycle Tomb Raider was known for back then, I can only sympathize with the fact they basically failed in every regard to make them enjoyable or worthwhile experiencing. You've never finished a Tomb Raider game in your life. Maybe these new ones could be your chance to do so, Vampire. However, Tomb Raider 4 is not one I can recommend. Oh, I don't know if I can... Yeah, I can, actually. I'd play it over Alan Wake 2 again, but... oh, God, I can't tell you how much I wanted Tomb Raider 4 to end. Goes on for so long. Agree again? All right, we're doing right by him. All right, next up, Stellar Blade. This is one of the 2 games on this list recommended to me by the FF7 Rebirth community online. But this one I actually liked. What I've got to say, pros, fantastic combat. Performance holding up fine in the balanced mode it offers. Gorgeous looking and sounding with a brilliant sound design and mixing and soundtrack. Highly customizable experience with Eve's endless outfits, hair and accessories. We all remember them. He liked the bottoms. I was only looking at the ties. Compelling characters and decent story. It wasn't like, you know, revolutionary, but it was fun enough, and the characters were all right. We all love Lily, right? Remember Lily, Seth? I love the plot. Some good little mini games here and there as well. The Sonic-esque blood sword ride-in sections. It had some fishing in it, puzzles for locks and all that. Changed it up enough so it wasn't just combat. But some of the platforming was annoyingly imprecise. Quite an early learning curve. I had a rough start to that game, man. I wish I just read things or understood things, because I watched back my playthrough back when Meow was playing it and realized how much of an idiot I looked like for missing like obvious instructions. I look a bit of a Wally. In the end, I had to turn it off because like she was like, "Oh, hey, Jay, I'm so much better at the game than you." And I wasn't having that. She talks like that, by the way. I let her watch the end section where I got the hang of it. He said the thing. You've been waiting all month for it, Vampire. I know you have. That's because she was better at the game. Seth, I'm not having it, lad. Not having it. I was a rock star at this game. Forget it. Right, I'm wrapping this up. Ending portion was a bit stuffed with many high HP enemies and 5 or 6 boss fights in pretty close succession. It was a bit overwhelming. Swimming mechanics felt unnatural and janky, and I'd just come off of Tomb Raider 4, and the swimming mechanics somehow feel better in that than they do in Stellar Blade. Fast travel a bit limited compared to other titles of a similar age. Lack of manual saves across multiple files was a bit limiting as well, especially for its requirement for multiple endings. You make one decision right at the end and you cannot save. You have to play the whole damn thing again. It's a bit annoying. New Game Plus could have carried a bit more progression, such as supply camps and shop affinity, which are all reset. Replays also suffer from unskippable dialogue in cutscenes. In summary, I love the combat, I love the characters. The game was gorgeous to look at, fun to play, and frankly has one of the best and most eclectic soundtracks I've ever heard in a video game, and I don't say that lightly, man. If you take Final Fantasy out of the equation, because I'm nostalgic and I love those, Stellar Blade soundtrack, I can just put any song on and just like enjoy and remember such a good time, such a good soundtrack. While some of its story beats and side content could stagnate a bit, the strength of its combat carries it well. I found it stellar. It's staying in a holding position because it's going in the top spot as well. All out fun. I love Stellar Blade. Bad. Not having it. Fucking excellent. I totally recommend. You don't listen to people online who just say it's a bunch of perverts playing it, because I'm not one of those. Meow himself will tell you. It's actually so fun to play. It's not perfect, but it's proper fun if you're into that. Hello, Spy. Hangover tier list when? Maybe the day after tomorrow. All right, Tomb Raider Chronicles. All right, let me just get this out of the way because it's a pretty short game and I don't have too much to say about it. Other than, it was a decent story setup, given what they had to work with, and script delivery from the side characters. Probably had more enjoyable dialogue and storytelling than the previous titles, even though Lara isn't part of it. Also nice, there was some side characters contributing to the aims of the level as well. And the old single level structure reinstated, forgetting what Tomb Raider 4 had done with the massive sprawling levels. It just went back to its single level structure and much easier to follow. But sadly, it had a terrible introductory level. Completely useless tutorial. The ending went far too hard with a massive difficulty and gameplay shift. The new mechanics are either poor in concept or good ones are underused and introduced too late into the game. Mostly annoying soundtrack of irritating and repetitive ambience, like the bells in Rome. Meaningful music appears in short bursts, but it's like reused shit from old games. And the ever-resetting inventory led to a lack of desire to collect much, or uncertainty when to use any of it. You do a couple levels, and then your inventory's back to zero. Bad sound quality and mixing in FMVs, poor boss fights, and terrible pacing. The vast majority of the bosses appear in the first quarter of the game, and only 3 in the last quarter, 2 of them which are gimmicks. Those weird Terminator guys. So in summary, it reeks of half-baked ideas with a fatigued team behind it, stretched thin and starved of creativity, topped off with a careless disregard for quality. Garbage. So Tomb Raider Chronicles, I actually think if I was talking critically, it's a worse game than 4, but because it's so much shorter and simpler, I'm actually going to throw it in stress. Probably down the bottom. It was just more enjoyable because there was less of it. That's surely a terrible thing to say. Scathing review, absolutely dreadful. Yeah, man. And we're not even done the 6th one. Like, I'm glad I played those 3 games. It's Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6, but fucking hell, I do not recommend anyone do it. Except Meow. That'd be fun for me to watch. I don't know if we've had anyone else in the chat play Astro Bot. Oh, look, there's Spy, who robbed me of every bloody record I had. Shadow robbed a few of them, but Spy went after me, man. I don't want my dissatisfaction with Meow trading it in for Pokemon and Spy robbing me of records I can't gain back to affect its final rank. I avenged you. I beat Shadow. I did this for us. Fair enough. If taking me out in the process was what had to be done, I'll give you that. So look, Astro Bot is a great intro, simple to the point, goals and light story told without words. I can't applaud it enough for that. I barely had to read a thing. It's basically just our spaceship crashed, our crew fell out, collect them, get the levels done. We're all good. And it was quite intuitive, great pacing on the tutorials and new mechanics. Great in-jokes for the special bots descriptions, if you know, you know, like Solid Snake was a terrible child, very funny. Sadly, however, about 90% of them flew right over my fucking head. Yeah, good incentive to go for all the collectibles and all that. It's really fun time. However, the sound design and the soundtrack I found a bit tiring. Like I was doing 3-hour streams of these and my ears were aching at the end of it. Not much in the way of volume or music options offered. Missed opportunities with generic bots. Yeah, they had a lot of generic bots. Why couldn't you just make everyone a special bot? And the photo mode it introduces comes in pretty late. I just thought it was a bit of a shame. Especially for my thumbnail creation, that it wasn't there from the start. Bit weird. However, overall, a practically faultless game, a total love letter to longtime fans and players of the PlayStation brand, an astronomical product, and totally lovable. Astro Bot remains in a holding pattern as well, as it's going in the top spot. I told you it's going to be busy up there. Then came Tomb Raider 6, The Angel of Darkness. The list goes on. I've got my notes here. They go on and on and on. Yeah, Geezer's Gathering game. Loved it. Agree. Right, better attention to soundtrack, dialogue and storytelling than all the previous entries. These are the pros for Angel of Darkness. Enemy encounters feel more fair and shorter than previous entries. Endless bullet dumps, totally. The game looks pretty decent, even in old graphics upscaled. At times it was hard for me to discern, am I looking at like the old or the new? Because you can flick between them. Some good ideas in this game, I'll give them that, but unfortunately all are executed half-heartedly with no precision or attention to detail. Clunky, awful, even for its age. The game reinvents old mechanics poorly, feeling untested, flawed, with unbelievable area builds plagued by loading screens. Even the pause menu and inventory taking time, making the new technology appear inferior to the old. This issue was a bit worse on PS4, works a bit better on PS5, but still hard to ignore. The tutorial largely missable instead of skippable. New mechanics introduced through actions like stealth and duck button without clarity of those buttons. Lara herself apparently turns completely arrogant, cruel and threatening, and in my opinion a lot more unlikable than she had been previously. Her old plucky cheeky self, she's just a bit of a bitch now. Tomb Raider 4's ending is acknowledged, but the death retcon is completely unexplained. The running mechanic, previously available from the start, is now unlocked halfway through the game. Earlier portions could have done with it. And that goes back to that stupid, bizarre leveling system where Lara feeling stronger. I feel stronger now. By interacting with specific objects. She learns the ability to sprint by opening a cabinet to collect a respirator. Suddenly she can run. What in the fuck? Yeah, man, it's like played by strange, mostly inconsequential RPG mechanics that are introduced early, but they go nowhere. Like the money is useless halfway through. The dialogue trees just end about a third of the way through. Oh man, it is... You can tell there's been some cuts here. The 3D camera was annoying, trying to do stealth sections. You look at a dude, every 2 seconds, if you leave the camera there, it resets. You cannot track anything with that fucking camera. And Curtis, he's a weirdo and his gameplay is shit. Whatever the chemistry he and Lara were supposed to have is beyond me, and it's all just a bit fucking weird. It's tragic. He's playing my adult life. Goatee. Yeah, can't run, not strong enough. Oh, Spicy's. Never understood the death retcon. I think they had plans for it, but it got cut, like many other things. Look, Tomb Raider, The Angel of Darkness. As I said at the time, as we were nearing the end of that game, I didn't hate it, the experience, as much as Tomb Raider 4. But it was pretty shit. So I'm actually putting it above Tomb Raider 4 and Alan Wake 2. This song is epic. This is part of Stellar Blade's aforementioned soundtrack. This is not... It's just not Angel of Darkness, let me be clear. Yeah, in summary, an absolute mess of unfinished designs. This is for Tomb Raider. Bizarre mechanics and an unpolished turd. Absolutely fucking mental is my final word on Tomb Raider 6. Right, I did a whole video about my thoughts on Elden Ring. Yeah, I've got a ton of notes here. I don't think it's worth me going through it all. You know, a lot of people here saw me play it. Like, it's my first ever Souls game. It was a fucking hard learning curve. Luckily, Seth bailed me out with Mr. Bird, because I think I would have quit if not, to get that grind exploit. But I can't deny there was, like, some things I felt were lacking for me personally. Like, I got nothing from the story. I'm never really a fan of silent protagonists. I can't relate to who I'm playing as. The story just went way over my head. And because there's no quest log or anything, it wasn't very easy for me to say, well, let's go and do some more story. You're just wandering around doing shit. But I recognized later on, like, how much fucking fun and, like, exciting the game was to come home and just think, right, just go do some shit and see what happens. So rather than go through me pros and cons here, I'll just give you my summary, which is, it's a stunning, extraordinary... Here's Tomb Raider 6 music. Pretty nice. A stunning, extraordinary, incredible piece of work that is, sadly, a bit too much for my rather simple mind. I just wasn't ready for it. I can't argue its brilliance, and if I was being a critical reviewer, it may well top this entire list, but I'm not. So I won't, and I can't pretend the entire experience was enjoyable. However, overall, Elden Ring is going in good times. There was a lot of pain and suffering that went into this, but I balanced out with how magnificent I think it is. It belongs in there. Spy, I remember you saying you didn't finish Elden Ring, right? I'll give you that one. I can understand your points regarding story for a non-Souls player. Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing from it, man. From his story, I mean. I think some things happened. We burned a place down and then fought Melania for a laugh. Got through it in that. Yeah, and you know, I found the combat, like, not hugely engaging. It was all right if you were leveled enough, especially against, like, the bigger things, like that big Loch Ness monster at the end. And the camera a bit tricky in it and kind of hard to hit, but I guess there's other classes. It's actually a problem I had with its platinum trophy Elden Ring, is it didn't encourage enough of its other options. You let you play it your way, and that's great, but yeah, there's so much to Elden Ring I never ever saw. So I can't properly review it, you know? Like all of these games, but I do think it's magnificent. Here's a Fork Road. We're getting through it. Fork Road, this random little indie game Shadow had me play. Cheap as chips. I found it to be a perfectly serviceable indie horror experience, and for the price, I can't really fault it. It's amusing, scary, plays okay on lower settings. But then I go on to fault it, saying it's a bit confusing at times in its riddles, though the game's kind of trolling you. So I suppose it kind of works. There's also maybe a bit of a language barrier with the, as far as I know, single developer who made it. And it's rather poorly optimized, the game run, and unjustifiably terrible on higher settings. I mean, it's just like a hallway repeating, and I had to, like, use low settings because my mid-tier graphics card was going insane. But yeah, for such a small asking price, it provides a short but fun and intriguing jump scare filled experience. Shout out to Simon, who made it, by the way. Yeah, man, the jump scares, it was a fun little hour or so, hour and a half of gaming. I put Fork Road in good times. It's not going to overtake Elden Ring, but it's going to good times, man. It was fun to see you terrified. No idea how he got there, but he would do the story, get stuck at a boss, let me beat it, then he would continue, and 3 months later he could be another boss he couldn't defeat. Do you know, Spy, your experience there is almost like what I wanted to have with Silksong. I just wanted to, we'll get to that. I just wanted to fight bosses, but getting around was an utter nightmare. You know, we're qualified for some things, but not all, right? Now, appropriately, as we're on this soundtrack here, Still Wakes the Deep. It's about to end, isn't it? Decent looking, great sounding. Yeah, it's ended. This is Alien. Decent looking, great sounding, and a cool setting of isolation on the oil rig. Despite its short length, the game does well at introducing a wealth of characters for you to find a certain charm in and feel something at their inevitable and imminent demise. And I'm totally nostalgic here or biased for the Scottish aspect of this, but it's so nice to see. And the setting as well in the 70s, the mood was excellent, so well done. And in its presentation, it feels kind of high budget in the voice acting and the script, but the actual gameplay is a bit bare bones. It's a bit lacking. And like, it wasn't very scary after a while. Like they had no death animations. You just see a weird screen. So the scare factor kind of went away, but it was intriguing enough. Mechanically, it relies a bit too much on tiny air vents rather than doors. There's so many doors, but 95% of them are locked. Why? Why are they locked? Why do you have to unscrew a fucking air vent just to get next door? Felt like they just didn't have many ideas. So it boils down to some nice Scottish recognition, creativity, and inclusion I've not nearly been subject to enough in gaming, and the results are not bad, but nothing more than pretty good. Or should I say, pretty good. Nae bad at all. Oil rig simulator. Shame there was absolutely no game. Yeah, you know, it's a walking simulator. And it has, you know, it's got some button prompts and you can jump and shit. But yeah, its gameplay is a bit lacking. But the setting and all that, loved it. So maybe unfairly, I'm going to throw it in good times as well. I'm biased, all right? This ends for the Scots, okay? Imagine it wins the whole thing. It's not gonna. Oh dear! All right, so look what's next. All right, Metaphor ReFantazio. The second game that was recommended to me by the FF7 Rebirth community sadly didn't land quite as well as Stellar Blade, and granted, I never gave it a chance outside the first 4 or 5 hours. Bag of shit! It was, you know, a nice art style and great looking anime cutscenes if you're into all that. But from everything I experienced, it felt a bit low budget, like environments lacking, some small areas with loading screens. The combat's flashy, but constant yappery, man. Fucking hell. They're just actually talking over their own voice lines. They yap so much. It was tiring to listen to. And a wealth of dialogue and exposition led to my mere 4 hours feeling like half of it was sat there watching a static scene of anime characters just talking, some of which was delivered with a single word and required reading. You know when they do that thing? I think like Octopath does it. They go, oh, maybe, but there's actually a whole fucking paragraph of text. If Final Fantasy Tactics can now do it, so can you, alright? The final straw was me finally arriving at a cool looking town, and wanted to check it out, but the game is forcibly funneling me to the objective, bemoaning my attempts to look around with a non-spoken dialogue fairy lady. And I just said, forget it, uninstalled. And that was also a bit of a letdown given all the considerations I had to make for streaming it, because Atlas or whoever it is, have got super strict rules on you streaming their games. So I just called it a day, uninstalled and traded in, sent it right back to Amazon for the next one on our list. It's actually, and to be fair to Metaphor, I didn't finish it like I did Alan Wake.
No.
Once it was abandoned, it was gone. I had absolutely no fun whatsoever. And it's a pretty well acclaimed game, Metaphor ReFantazio, but for me, it's right down the bottom. I'd play Alan Wake again over that. Fair play to anyone who loves it. Right then. But yeah, it got traded in for Blacksmith Wukong. What an interesting game, man. It seemed to be fairly well reviewed. Has anyone here actually played it? At the time, I think no one had. You just bought Alan Wake 2? Spy. Shadow loved it. Maybe you'll like it. Thought Wukong was nonsense. Looks fun and cool cutscenes, I remember. I had a really captivating opening, but sadly, it kind of closed off after that. The character you see in the intro was not who you play as. So we get another silent protagonist. Again, I'm not a fan. Doesn't even have a name, the destined one. Quite nice presentation and cutscenes. Whatever story it had, and I'd never experienced that Journey to the West stuff. Didn't really leave a mark on me at all. Yeah, and the map, from what I'd sort of expected going into it, having watched bits and pieces, it was a lot more restrictive than I was expecting. I don't know if I was expecting like Yōtei or Elden Ring levels of exploration, but fairly linear. Yeah, it did have a good amount of enemy designs and variety per chapter. So even though they get reused a bit per chapter, the next chapter feels like quite a different experience, and that's good. The game could have done with more to break up its combat, because I didn't find its combat all that fun, which is a shame because I feel like the combat really needed to carry it, and it didn't for me. It doesn't... You can, like, reassign your skill points to other skills to try out different shit, but the game, I don't think the game did a very good job of telling me how to use shit, maybe how to pair different things well. And it made you, you know, reduce points here, respend them here to build this skill. And then it's like one of those, it kind of reminds me of FF16, where you got like 4 main abilities, use one and you're on a timer for it to reload, so you can't like experiment with it too much. And that's, for me, what this boils down to. Its combat didn't feel fun, exciting, or varied enough to carry the game for as long as it needed to, especially as there were little other mechanics to break up all the combat. And the game, I thought, had promise, but it never quite got there in any regard for me. But it was fun at times, a decent bit of fun. Cool to look at, didn't ever want to play it. I had more fun watching it. That's a win for me. If you enjoyed watching it, maybe you mean from another streamer, but if you enjoyed watching me play it, and us all kind of laugh at it, then I'm glad for that. Black Myth Wukong, I'm putting it in above, thank goodness, but it's going in the meh. And then we took a trip back to the past, GoldenEye 007. However, my list is out of order here because I've got the next game I played. And I'm just going to brush over it very, very quickly, all right? That is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. I don't know if anyone ever played these back in the day. I never played 4. I played 3 about 25 years ago. And, you know, it's nicely presented, well made and all that, but... it shows the age of its initial design, and it gets boring pretty quickly. Yeah, it's going in... Meh, it was all right. Yeah, nothing more to add from that. It's all right. I liked it back in the day, those games, because I was a skateboarder before I became fat and old. But yeah, that's all I can say about that. But back to GoldenEye. To preface this, it's not the Nintendo Switch version, not the Xbox version, not the original N64 version, but a PC emulation of it, which lets you use keyboard and mouse like a modern shooter in it. And oh my fucking god, man, does this game hold up pretty damn well if it's running at a good frame rate and you can use good controls on it. Yeah, it has some rough spots here and there, like the dialogue has a timed presentation on screen. If you miss it, you've missed it. The only way to see it again is to replay the level.
Yeah, baby!
Howdy, Dark! Golden shit! No way, Seth, no way. The infinitely spawning enemies were hilarious. Right, that is on my list here. Right, it shows some age in that sense. It shows its age. It was frustrating when you just wanted to explore, but 3 men keep coming out of a hut that was empty when I was inside of it 5 seconds ago. They just keep fucking pouring out, man. Also, the stealth mechanics. If you were there, we witnessed on the second bunker level. I don't understand what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to get those knives out of the fucking little sewer grate and then stealth with those. What have I written here? I used knives for the entire level because guns alerted 1,000 men to my exact position, and knives didn't, even though fewer targets were still blasting their guns at me. Also, shooting a CCTV camera with my gun was okay and didn't bother anyone. I still don't understand what they're going for there. But, you know, older games, they don't tell you too much, do they? I didn't like it back then, but the Switch version completely destroyed any playability it had with those controls. That's what I heard. And I think it runs at 30 FPS on Switch, so fuck that, man. Plays all right as a modern shooter on PC. And you can't fault the music, even if it got a bit tiring with, you know, the endless repetition of the Bond theme. Not much variation. It's staying in the Holden pattern, boys. It's staying in the Holden pattern. It's in all out fun. I think it's fantastic. And I, you know, never touched its multiplayer. He tried to play it for a minute on Switch and said no, though. But loved it on OG hardware. Yeah, I think GoldenEye deserves its place. You revile the Bond franchise. That's right. Because I kept asking you what your favorite film was, and You didn't have much to say. GoldenEye stays. Despite some aged mechanics and design, it can't be ignored that the game is a total hoot and of decent length. I'm so glad I went back to experience it with a bit of a modern influence. Good work, 007. You liked when I did the voice of Judi Dench as well. You'll like that. So, Donkey Kong Country, man. Emulated on Switch. With some minor use of the rewind features and Meow using that glitch to grind me 100 lives twice because I fucking needed them. It's a nice, colourful art style, great game to look at. It's pretty intuitive, but it lacks some information around the differences between Donkey and Diddy, which the chat had to tell me. Beautiful, memorable soundtrack, but absurdly difficult later on. The game looks like it's aimed at children, but I don't know what parents could have sat through the tears this must have caused many a child. Very punishing game overs for a game that requires trial and error. Instead of a checkpoint, wipe, and putting you back to the beginning of the level, you're back to a save point, which can be several levels back. So it's great to go back and get through something I found impossible as a child, but it was painful and frustrating grind by the end. Thankfully, rescued by the perks of emulation and some wonderful presentation. So I'm putting Donkey Kong, it's going to good times, probably towards the lower end of good times. Just because of how fucking hard it got, man. Metal Gear. All right, I had tons to say about this at the time. As we get closer to the ones I streamed more recently, I'll try and keep it brief. I loved Metal Gear Solid 3, the original, when I was a young man when it first came out in 05 or whenever it was. I never thought that game was perfect or absolutely revolutionary, but I really did love it. And therefore, because this game is so faithful to it, I can't dislike it. It has enough like modernization and quality of life introductions that make it feel like the preferred way to play it. I kind of wish it had gone a bit harder, but maybe the options weren't there. Especially like the loading screens between areas, and it would have been nice to see it all connect together, but it's just not what's there. And it does feel, as I said at the time, it feels more dated than MGS5, which is a 10-year-old game. Somehow it feels more modern than this because it is just a damn good splatter of paint over something old. Yeah, with makeup on, right? It's pretty good makeup. And, they did do some quality of life stuff that I applaud. But the newest thing in it is those new collectibles, which are just, the geckos are just a kind of reprint of the old keratin frogs. It's just a reused idea. That's the newest thing they did. So in summary, a great predictable time. Given how faithful the game is to the original, nothing was a surprise outside of a few quality of life implementations, but I can't deny some new life breathed into an old favorite of mine was a pleasure that I harbor no guilt in. Pretty good. And it's going in the top spot. So it's staying in the holding pattern. It's joining the fight for glory. I know they introduced like an online mode. I never tried it. So Metal Gear remains in the holding pattern. Alien Isolation, a game that I was recommended to play years back, but everyone was playing it, so I decided to hold off. Yeah, I said on my piece at the time, I wish, so many other walking simulators, the aforementioned Still Waits the Deep, could be like this, man. Very interactive. There's plenty you can do. You can customize the experience. The alien itself is quite a sight to behold how it works. As I've said, there's not been a game since that has emulated the feel of a film so well. Well, we'll see what Terminator 2D No Fate has to say about that. For what's you mean Jennifer, the original Jennifer, before we played Terminator Resistance? Yes. But a good point about Jennifer, you had to be there. It's quite neat that you can use other human enemies, or indeed friendly humans, to take the heat off you and distract the alien whilst you make a cheeky exit. Jennifer came in useful for that. Yeah, man, the gameplay options in this are just fantastic. So good. Maybe the only problems I had with Alien Isolation is I didn't find it very scary. Especially once you've seen that alien once or twice, it just becomes a bit annoying and frustrating or challenging. It's never scary. And it's only got like 3 death animations or something. I found the fucking... The Working Joes more scary. I found the face huggers more scary. And yeah, I do... I'm sorry to say, kind of sit in the camp of I think the game shot its load a wee bit early and lingered on maybe more than it needed to, in my my experience. That said, I'm putting it in the top of good times. I'd say I enjoyed my experience there more than Elden Ring. Wasn't all out fun, but I think it's a quality product, and I did not expect to like it that much. My only gripe is it dragged on a bit, right? Okay, so you feel that as well. Because I remember James said he only watched my first stream of it because he couldn't stand to watch anymore. But he said he finds that opinion bullshit and that he would play it forever. And that's, I think it's great someone can feel like that about a game. Yeah, it just went pretty hard at like chapter 15 or 16, I can't quite remember. And then I think there's 18 or 19. Especially that fucking rock pool in the second to last chapter when the power goes off. It's like, please let me out. I was ready for you to finish it. We all were. But it got done, and I platted it. Pretty decent plat as well. In summary, an excellent example of what I wish so many other horror games could dare to be. I found the game ever so slightly outstayed its welcome, was encouraging it to wrap up rather than begging for more by the end, but it was a fantastic experience I'm glad I finally lived through. Next up, off the list, you can watch me play it if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it because I had a horrible time playing this game. Mostly. Hollow Knight Silksong came heavily loaded this year. Yeah, I've only got like 4 of each of me pros and cons here. My pros are, it's a gorgeous looking and sounding game. It has a wonderful art style and solid gameplay mechanics. Some fun new bosses with new reactions to learn and get good at, with plenty of new playstyles and options to play around with. Also, in my experience, kind of leave developers to offer a bad ending easy out with full credit roll for all of those of us who felt 2 acts was more than enough and we would rather head out then than during a 3rd act. I avoided this like the plague. I have done ever since. But I gotta say something about it, and I know you watched my animated HeyJay play of this. This is a complaint I had at the time. It's turned into a compliment. As time's gone on, I applaud the developers for taking note of their core audience and not casual gamers like me. But there's a plethora of content creators out there who've done nothing but make Hollow Knight 1 content for like 7 years. And have gone out of their way to make the game harder, even modding it, to make it harder and harder, and speedrun it faster and faster. And at some point, yeah, I realized this game was geared maybe more towards them. They're going after their audience who absolutely love it, not someone who might enjoy some of it. So I actually say good for the developers for noticing that, because it's not made for me, man. Like I said earlier, it's getting around in that game. It was a fucking chore. I hated it. But I love the bosses. I just didn't find enough of them. What I need is Spy to do all the walking around bits, and I'll do the bosses. By definite design and full intention, some of the platforming trials were about the least enjoyable thing I've ever experienced in video games. I didn't feel accomplishment afterwards. Just that it wasn't worth the trouble, and perhaps the game was wasting my time. Again, in retrospect, I was wasting my time with the game. I shouldn't have been playing it. I loved retrying bosses. I like that, but when the boss was fucking a good old retrek away from its last bench and there's several enemies in the way, then it became frustrating. Just wait till they release a Pantheon. I'll just play that. In summary, a game already beloved by many that I recognize as well designed and crafted with a lot of love and care, but ultimately feel isn't aimed at me. I found enjoyment in learning the bosses and getting good at those, but found traversal and exploration at times excruciating when lost. When lost, a waste of time and boring. Happy for those who enjoyed it, but for me, it was mostly stress, and it is going right there at the bottom of stress. I would play Tomb Raider Chronicles before I played Silksong again. But yeah, get back on track with the streams. Been watching Box of Wine speedruns. You might find me out there. Alright, so Terminator Resistance Enhanced. You can totally see the love in this game from Terminator 1 and 2 fans, and let's be fair, that's the only 2 that really matter. I am a bit of a novice at first-person shooters, but I did realize the game kind of encourages some exploring and crafting and stealth and skill trees. So I had some nice variety in there. And it's nice to see that non-playable characters have plenty to say, variable dialogue trees, and certain relationship affections as a result. Fairly rewarding exploration and side questing, except for Patrick, that weird fucking kid. The final mission in it is like so fucking epic. That was so fun, the music going and everything. But it's short enough, you know, it serves its purpose well. But I shagged all the ladies on that game. I know, and I said at the time, I think that was maybe a bit gratuitous, but I can't knock the game for at least rewarding you with the opportunity to do that with a couple of people. Yeah, we lost Jennifer and Patrick. Pretty much everyone died. I fucked the ending hard. I fucked it. But we did get that slightly awkward scene. But that slightly awkward scene is one of the only ones with scene direction. Everyone else, every other scene outside of the love scenes is an NPC fucking gazing into your eyes and just shouting at you, because the audio balancing is not good, man, in this version that I played anyway. It's like audio tearing left, right, and center, but you can barely hear Jacob. And then these people just looking at you, shouting at you. Oh, man. It was absolute cringe. Still. So, in summary, it was a decent play with some middling design and mechanics and some rough sound mixing. But that aside, it's a nice Terminator, faithful and endearing to the only two Terminator movies that really matter. It was all right. And I know it had its lovers of the game that came in when we were playing it, and I was kind of surprised. It obviously has great appeal somewhere, but it wasn't to me. I think it's probably gone down the bottom of good times. I think it's all right. I didn't hate it. It's not, but you know, I love Terminator. So, and the extra mode we played was quite fun as well. The Terminator one, the Infiltrator mode. Oh yeah, I don't fault that. That end bit is fucking so good, man. And you know what? We just watched Genesis the other night, and it has a similar end. Just before they send Kyle back and the Terminator, it's nowhere near as good as it is in Terminator Resistance. Next up, Silent Hill F. I don't have too many notes on this. I'm going to go through the whole pros and cons list because I'm going to give a perspective of how I felt at the end of my first run. Now, it was good looking, sounding, and perhaps the best performing UE5 game I've played, until it wasn't, because later on, when there's more and more enemies, that game fucking chugs, man. Dropped frames all over the shop. Interesting and more combat options than Silent Hill 2 Remake. I shouldn't really be comparing the two too much, but they do feel a bit out of place for like a small young girl, but it was at least fun to play with at first. The puzzles were a mixed bag, feeling decent, but others feeling overly cryptic, lacking much in design. Do you remember that fucking box we had to unlock? I still don't get that. Certain ones present too much written clues that I have to read rather than visual clues, and could be better paced in their delivery rather than throwing everything at you at once. While it is by nature that rural Japan would feel emptier than the actual Silent Hill, the environments do feel a bit bare and at times hard to navigate. As things went on, I found myself gradually more and more bored. The cycle of Japan to Dark Shrine feeling repetitive. Neither scenario provided much explanation as to what was going on, rather just growing more disturbing. And that boredom is not helped by the increasing enemies throughout. Enemies that were once bosses begin to appear around every corner, such as Mrs. Bellies, as repetitive damage. Alright, now here's me notes after, pretty short. Upon replaying this for different endings, a complete perspective shift occurred, and I was absolutely hooked and totally invested in Hinako's struggle as more and more layers of the onion were peeled back. You remember that last stream? That first ending, I was like, finally, I'm intrigued, and it's the end. And I was never not intrigued again, man. Every time I played through it, you get a little bit more. Later patches to the game alleviated some of the previously mentioned gripes. Yep, played it after they reduced some of the enemy counts on certain difficulties. Playing on the hardest difficulty, this is a future con, by the way. The hardest difficulty flooded the areas with even more enemies than that first run, and the game starters in high enemy count areas were disgraceful and unforgivable. It was fucking unplayable, man. And that hardest difficulty I had to do for the plat. Yeah, so look, Silent Hill F, in the end, right, here's my summary. I should read this first. The first run was a bit of a slog, not particularly enjoyable, with a confusing and unfollow-alongable story. But as per the game's design, multiple playthroughs provide more and more context. I don't know that I fully agree with that design philosophy, but overall, when all was said and done, I had become fully invested in the main character and her struggle and felt it had more replay value than its fairly recent counterpart, Silent Hill 2 Remake, with the philosophy of having to replay something to get it. Especially when the gameplay for me wasn't all that enjoyable. but I do appreciate it is more than what I gave it credit for at the time. And it's going in good times. It's not going to join Silent Hill 2 at the top tier. It's just not that fun. And its puzzles for me were so lacking. But yeah, I think I would put it above Still Wakes, Donkey Kong, and Terminator Resistance. All right, this is where I think it might start to sting for Seth with me doing that. All right, we're getting through it. Next up is actually Final Fantasy Tactics. Very little to talk about here. I already did a video on it. Wonderful presentation, great voice acting, and a good story to boot. A properly done grind does feel rewarding, but the grind felt pretty immediate, almost instantly thrust into feeling underpowered, needed some online help to understand what the hell I was doing and how to grind in a beneficial way. It's like trying to grind in FF8 if you think grinding's going to help. No, you just need to understand some shit. Some dialogue patterns feel a bit repetitive. By the end, Ranzo is just shouting at everyone. They don't listen, and they repeat this a couple of times per battle. It gets a bit old. But yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, a completely different feeling Final Fantasy, wonderfully brought back to life and modernized just enough while still feeling classic. I only wish the pixel remasters could have benefited from such attention to detail, mainly so I don't have to read. But in the end, things became a bit formulaic in terms of my strategy and the story itself. But it was overall a really fun time. I kind of see the hype now. Like, I would play that again at some point and try some different shit other than the arithmetician class, right, Vampire? That fucking word aplomb. Yo, Noise, I missed the schoolyard combos where we spread gaming info the game didn't tell you. I surely needed that for Final Fantasy Tactics. I had to Google most of it. Did you find Cloud in Tactics? Yes, I did. But yeah, Tactics, totally fun time. Tactics is going in the top spot as well. Is it? Yeah, it is. It's probably going, lower down. So I don't think it's perfect. But yeah, now I'm just wanting, why couldn't the Pixel remasters have so much love and care and work put into them that Tactics obviously did? This should be a benchmark of how to remaster an old RPG, man. To really modernize it. And they even include the old version emulated in there if you want to play that. Such a good example of how to do it. But I don't see them going back and putting a bunch of voice actors in the Pixel remasters. Okay, so that brings us to our last game of this list. And again, I won't spoil anything because I know you're playing through it, Seth. Great looking game. Ghost of Yōtei, for the most part. Barely noticed a stutter in its performance. Exploration is actually nice in that you don't have to Google everything. There's a cartographer that you can buy shit off. You know, that's like an in-game way of Googling that costs you. But it's fine, because if you run out of money, you just get Meow to play some Zeni Hajiki for you. Awesome fast travel with plenty of different points to choose from. Yeah, some okay mini-games. The Nine Tails puzzles. And all that. Platforming was okay. Probably, maybe my least favorite part of it by the end was I was a bit sick of some of the platforming. It's all just fields, whereas Tsushima had an interesting landscape. See, I haven't played it in so long, man. I thought it looked a bit mundane lighting wise. The sky's often a bit grey, and maybe it's the limitations of the console, I don't know, because it does perform well, but like, I totally hear you there, man. It is a bit sparing in its how interesting it is. Eventually you just get used to it, and it's just another grassy open world game. Yeah, by the end of it, it's just old foliage and rocks. The beauty of it kind of wears off after a while. Also, the soundtrack I thought was a bit lacking. It had some great pieces in there, don't get me wrong, but like whilst you're wandering around or doing whatever, there's not very much of it. And when you're in combat, just fucking excellent sound design and great sound effects just kind of drown everything out. Yeah, hold your ears. I'm not going to spoil any actual plot points here, Seth, but the ending, I'm just going to say, quickly cover my brief thoughts on it. I thought it was a fairly fluffed ending. Some of the character choices just feeling stupid, reckless, unrealistic, only serving to create a frustration that was unearned. Just tension and danger for the sake of it. So yeah, I was a bit displeased by the ending. But overall, I really enjoyed the characters and the story leading up to there. I cheated with the coin flicky game, put the template on. I never tried that. But even still, right, so with all that said, my final summary of the final game tonight is I loved it. Very fun combat, great exploration, and very forgiving fast travel system for lazy idiots like me. A compelling, if slightly predictable story, but a likable and endearing enough roster of main characters hold it together nicely. Bit of a shame about the ending, but overall I had a great time playing it. All right, we're all done here. Everything else on the list is going in the top tier. So I think I alluded to this previously. I think Final Fantasy Tactics is probably going down the bottom. Has anyone got any predictions, or anyone, where would you, if you've played any of these, where are you putting them? Shit, oh no, I think I've got my next pick. I think I do. I think given how predictable it was, how expected everything was, and how familiar everything felt, I still love MGS3, and therefore I love MGS Delta, but it didn't give me enough new to really, really excite me. Yo, Island. I haven't even done the Platinums yet. I'll just quickly brush over that after all this. I think I'm going to give it to GoldenEye then. It was just so fun listening and playing that game. It was such a fun and just a perfect length romp for an old game played modernly. It was such a fun time. Well, you've got the last three right, Vampire. Tic Tacs. Astro Bot. Look, I'm not much a huge platforming player. I think Astro Bot is such a well-made game. It's so fun and lovable. And even like all those free DLCs, man, I can't applaud that enough. How generous the developers were in just giving content after content. And the end, it finally gave me some Final Fantasy. But the other three on this list are probably more my kind of game. Astro Bot goes next. Oh, fuck. I just need a minute. I'm considering all things here. Like, these are three games I really, really enjoyed playing. The Platinum for Silent Hill 2 is probably the worst of these three. I sort of wish I didn't play it, because playing it 9 times, you see a lot of the worst of it. But that experience itself, the puzzles and everything, and even the way you can change the puzzles up on different difficulties. I had a rough idea, Vampire. I kind of had a rough idea, but no, my heart is breaking here like it never has. Last year, I just knew it was going to be Rebirth, so it's just whatever. Talk a bunch of rubbish and shove Rebirth up there. He's going to put the bomb game in first place. It's rest the stream CCs. The pink gin is in charge now. Meow, you've played these 3 games. You never finished SH2. Don't tell me. All things considered. Okay. He's hammered, and SH2 will suffer for it. Before you finish, I got a surprise. All right, go on then, Vampire. Brace yourselves. 5. Fuck me. Fuck me. What he said, man. Jesus, dude. That is so very, very kind indeed. Thank you very much for the 5,000 bits. Buy yourself something nice or fix the Scottish hat. It's up here, still not fixed. See this? How am I supposed to wear this? Let's wrap this up. I've prolonged this as long as I can. Again, thanks so much, Vampire. I really appreciate that, man. I'm putting Ghost of Yōtei in 3rd place. because I think the style of game and experience I got out of so many aspects of Silent Hill 2 was such a throwback to like old REs and probably old Silent Hills, but I've never played them. Noise, you'll get on at me at that, I'm sure. But once I got the hang of Stellar Blade, which is a game I don't think is perfect. Remember, I'm not saying these games are better or worse than any of them. All things considered. Get in there. Stellar Blade is my love of this year, of 2025. And Silent Hill 2 comes in second place. And it goes to Yōtei taking the bronze. Nice that one of its songs would come on right now as well. That soundtrack, the feel of Stellar Blade, I can't explain it to you. I can't explain it. The feel of the combat, the music, the environments, some of the characters. Bloody Pink Jin! And this whole top row, I sort of recommend just about all of them. Maybe Tactics isn't for everyone. Maybe GoldenEye's a bit old. But yeah, man, I really love Stellar Blade, Silent Hill 2 remake, goes to Yōtei and Astro Bot. It's the longest Silent Hill 2 remake. It's better than SHF. Yeah, it's a tier above it. So I'm excited to see where, you know, they go with Silent Hill 1. And Noise, if I ever... I'm thinking about it, all right? I'm thinking about doing the old trilogy. I'm thinking about it this year. But Stellar Blade, it's just... I love it, man. I can't tell you how much I love it. It reminded me... Don't take this the wrong way. Reminded me of being like at school and like when I was working and shit. And I wanted to come home and play it. Like, I just want to go and do shit in Stellar Blade. And I almost didn't get that enough from Ghost of Yōtei because it all became so formulaic and as expected. But like Stellar Blade was just like, I can't wait to play it again. And I would do shit off stream and then I'd be like, oh shit, I've got nothing left to do off stream. I need to stream this again. That feeling, man. Stellar Blade gave it to me and I love it for that. And like I said earlier, the fucking soundtrack is one of my favorites ever. And you've got it now with Expedition. Well. Maybe I'm glad I didn't put Stellar Blade up against Expedition this year. Perhaps I'd like to have seen Elden Ring slightly higher, but overall I think he's done a good job of the list this year. Thanks, man. Like I said, if I was ranking this critically, there's no doubt in my mind Elden Ring would be at the top. But I'm not. This is just my opinions, my preferences. How did I enjoy them? I personally get more experience, more enjoyment out of watching someone's experience and own take of how they enjoyed something rather than critically reviewing something. I think that's, once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all, right? Whereas if you can just get individual opinions of someone's experience, that to me is more interesting. That's what I'm giving here. But it will be slim pickings next year. Terminator 2D No Fate versus RE9 and a few others. All right, so look, I'll quickly brush over this. Platinum trophies for this year. I've actually given my top to Ghost of Yōtei. Very forgiving. Just one playthrough required. The only thing that stopped Astro Bot being top is I had a few random collectibles that I kind of had to look up. They do absolutely nothing for the missions they're in. And there's no, like, easy way to find them. Some random eggs in the Nathan Drake levels and those green birds in the Bot of War levels. Whereas Ghost of Yōtei was pretty much a really fun plat. Very natural as well. Will we see Doom on this list? Maybe one day. Yeah, Stellar Blade didn't make it that high because its New Game Plus options weren't very good. Actually, it did have some that were patched in later, but the fact that you have to play the whole damn thing again with many unskippable cutscenes was a bit of a chore. But Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 fucking wrecks it, man. Making me play the exact same experience, give or take, 29 times to get a plat. Play through every fucking level of 2 games with 29 different skaters and max every goal in it is fucking ridiculous. Tony Hawk's 3+4 goes in the bollocks category of plats. and Ghost Yōtei takes it. But it's not as bad as Tony Hawk's 1+2. So there we have it. This year, or last year, I had a pretty rubbish time with Metaphor ReFantazio, Alan Wake 2, Tomb Raider 4, The Last Revelation, and Tomb Raider 6, The Angel of Darkness. At least a fair amount of stress playing Silksong and Tomb Raider 5 Chronicles. And alright times playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. Thank goodness you're here, and Black Myth Wukong. But good times were had in Terminator Resistance Enhanced. Donkey Kong Country, Still Wakes the Deep, Silent Hill F, Fork Road, Elden Ring, and Alien Isolation. But all-out fun was provided in Final Fantasy Tactics, The Ivalice Chronicles, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, GoldenEye 007, emulated, Astro Bot, and in bronze place, Ghost of Yōtei with the silver, Silent Hill 2, but with the gold, or indeed platinum, Stellar Blade. But that will do it for this, the 2025 roundup of all the games I streamed last year. That'll be all for tonight. So hopefully you can join me for Terminator or Expedition, but whatever you do with the rest of your night, thank you for joining. Take care of yourselves. Stay cheeky. And I'll see you on the next one, all right? Here's some credits. Thank you.